Happy Bookish Day, everyone! I have a special video for you today. We are going to be talking about my top 5 bookish recommendations for the realm of fantasy. Now, first of all, I think the majority of us, especially those who have a nostalgia for reading, would probably put Harry Potter as one of their favorites. I mean, it's one of my favorites too. But I think it's more about the nostalgia of reading it as a kid and the world that has been created since that puts that on the top of my favorites. I mean, it's not just about the books. It's about the merch. It's about the plays, the Harry Potter world. But for this video today, I want to base my top 5 fantasy books just based off of the writing alone and what the world creates based off of that. I think based off of the writing alone, I feel like I would be a bit biased on Harry Potter. Therefore, Harry Potter is not going to be included on the top 5 today. So without further ado, number 5 for my top bookish fantasy recommendations is the Crowns of Neoxia series. Fair warning, I've only read The Serpent and the Wings of Night so far, so based on the rest of the books that I read, that number may go up or down. So what is it about? It's about an adopted daughter of the Vampire King. Her name is Aurea. And the problem is that Aurea, she's not a vampire. She literally lives in this castle with her adoptive father, who is a vampire and is surrounded by vampires. But she earns her opportunity to prove herself when the Kajari starts. This Kajari is a tournament to the death that only happens every couple hundred years. In fact, her adoptive father was the one who won the last one, and that is why he is king today. He is king because the goddess of death, Neoxia, grants one wish to the victor of this Kajari. But defeating vampires is not all rainbows and butterflies, and after a near-death experience, Aurea allies herself with Rain, who is a ruthless and dangerous vampire. It is an enemies to lovers romance that could be the downfall to the very kingdom that they are competing in. I'm not going to say that the enemies to lovers trope is my favorite. I don't hate it, but because it is the whole he fell first trope, it makes this story so much better. And the whole they may die at any second thing, it keeps you gripped the whole time. I literally read 300 pages in 24 hours because I really wanted to finish this book. But what sold it for me was that ending. I mean, what the heck happened? Now on to number 4. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would know that I am a huge fan of Ali Hazelwood's work. Earlier this year, she released Bride, which delves into the world of wares and vampires. That's vampires with a Y. I would honestly consider this a contemporary fantasy because we start off with Misery, ironic, and she starts off in this software company, and she's an outcast to her community. She is pulled back to her territory by her father, who's also the king of the vampires, or leader, I can't remember which. But she is pulled back to marry Lo, who is the leader of the Wares. This is because they're very close to the brink of war, and they need an alliance in order to save their species, basically. And the only reason why she even agrees to this marriage is because her best friend is missing, who is a human, and Lo might just have the answers. It might be hard to go through the whole interspecies relationship at first, but this slow burn, it burns hot. And the action at the end just... I'm not sure it has been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that there is a sequel in the works based off of that ending. Number 3 is a book talk favorite that had me thinking about it for weeks afterwards. The Letters of Enchantment duology. This includes Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. Iris Winnow is an up-and-coming journalist who lives in a world where gods and goddesses exist, and they've been laying dormant until now. A war breaks out between Docre, the god of death, and Enva, the goddess of light and music. Iris's brother joins the front lines in favor of Enva, and then he goes missing. After Iris loses the columnist position to her rival Roman Kit, she accepts a traveling position for a rival newspaper company in order to find her brother. Intertwined in this saga are these letters that Iris initially wrote to her brother, but ends up in the hands of Roman Kit. They realize that they can send letters to each other through these wardrobes with their typewriters, under an alias, of course. And when they find out that they are each other's secret admirers, well, there is nothing that could stop the love that they have for each other. These books made my top list because it really gave me World War II vibes, and I am a huge historical fiction fan. And number 2, we have the epic series of Throne of Glass. This is another series that I haven't quite finished yet. I am currently on Queen of Shadows, but it just has this firm grip on me that it is not going to let go. Selena is an assassin, or was an assassin, until she was betrayed and sent to Endovier, a death camp. But where most died within months, Selena has survived for years. She is pulled into court to become the king's champion, and she has to prove herself in order to win the ultimate prize, her freedom, endless riches, and a coveted court position. But not everything is as it seems. The king, he is cruel, and he will squash anything and everyone who will oppose him. And Selena has a secret that may very well depose the king himself. And the very fact that I am on Queen of Shadows, which is number 5 in the series, there are 8 total books, and the books just keep on getting better and better for me, that raises that series very high for me. And finally, drumroll please. Our number 1 is a Game of Thrones series. Okay, I know what you guys are saying. I know that the TV series flopped. But we're not talking about the TV series here. We're talking about the book series. This book series is epic. It is full of details, and there's so many different POVs from different perspectives. You get all this hope for your favorite character only to get them killed. And then your heart breaks, and then you have a hard time trusting any character that you read about. I also find that all this detail is easy to follow because it gives me these medieval and Renaissance vibes. And of course I love that because historical fiction nerd here. But then you get that fantasy vibe. You get the dragons, you get the White Walkers, you get the spells. And of course my favorite, there are direwolves. So what did you think? Are there other series that you recommend? Or better yet, what Game of Thrones house are you in? My favorite personally, House Stark, because the BuzzFeed quiz told me so. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to my blurbs. If you want more book recommendations, deals, reviews, all that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss another video. Have a bookish fantasy day.